Stand and Deliver. Interesting. This is being done 26 odd minutes before Raw. I know I should be watching Raw, but I was a little late on starting the Stand and Deliver watch. And I'm going to tell you this. If you watch Stand and Deliver compared to night one of WrestleMania, if there was no Rock, no Roman, no Cody, or Seth, literally, I'm telling you right now, literally Stand and Deliver would have been better than night one. I'm not lying here. I'm telling the truth. I am not a huge NXT fan. I review it. I do like it. But I'm not huge. And you guys who watch me for years know I'm not. I'm just telling you how the developmental is working. But as someone who's basically always fair on, at least as much as I can be fair as I can, if you look at night one, which wasn't bad, it was good. It wasn't bad though. Compared to Stand and Deliver, legitimately, this is night one with Rock, Roman, and Cody. This is how it would have been. Without them, that's the truth. That is the truth. If you don't agree, tell me what part am I wrong about. Let's open. The final match for the tag champions. The Wolf Dogs going against Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Now, let's make this clear. They developed it pretty decently, and I thought one of two things was going to happen. If the Wolf Dogs did drop it, that means we are going to see a Braun Breaker more often on the main roster than he will be on NXT. So the only reason he'll be still holding those titles because they don't believe he's ready yet, and they don't want to drop those titles yet. It's flat out, that's the deal. It was a good match. It was very few botches. It was a good, high-paced, fast-paced match. It was. That's what we got. In the end, Wolf Dogs won. And I was not that surprised because I didn't see anything substantial because of what was going on with the WrestleMania build on Raw and SmackDown that would prompt me to think that Braun Breaker was going to go to the main roster and stay there. There was nothing there. We barely saw him after the initial signing from Nick Aldis. So, pretty much, I knew they weren't going to do anything. They would just build up into it after WrestleMania. So, there you go. This is where you're going to like this. The North American Championship. And I'm going to talk about Ava afterward. I know someone's going to say, dude, what about Ava? I'll talk about it afterwards. Let's make this clear. The North American Triple Threat Championship. Uma Femi, Josh Briggs, and Dijak. That was one of the best matches I've seen from three big men in quite a while. This isn't one small guy or two small guys. This is three big-ass men who were having this match. At one point, I believe Josh was on the shoulders. No. I think Dijak was on the shoulders of Josh. And then he was going to try and basically do a a Samoan drop off the second turnbuckle. But then you got Uma Femi getting in between the legs of, I do believe, a Dijak, or was it Josh? I can't remember which one. You'll see the image. I believe you'll see the image as you see Uma Femi holding them both up. And it's not like you see with John Cena or anyone else where you have one stacked on top of the other. You got one who's prone like this. The other one's on his shoulders. And Uma Femi went between his legs and put him on his shoulders. And then he fell. And understand, these are not small guys. That's 180, 190. You got 250, 260 on each one. That is a lot of weight. So I'm not going to tell you Uma Femi is not powerful because the boy is. The question was, could he hang in a storyline? And if there was a story, or in this situation, could he be in a match with two guys who have been in the business easily, maybe about 10 years? Briggs and Dijak easily been in there 10 years each. They've already stated it. They've known each other for quite a while. So, was Uma Femi effective in this? Yes. But did he act green? Hell yes, he did. At certain points, he just looked a bit sloppy. It's understandable. He used to be a shot putter. He wasn't into wrestling, not pro wrestling. But you can't say that he didn't look damn impressive in this match. He did. He managed to get Dijak and Briggs up in the air. They will hold on to him. He lifted them both up as they jumped. Because remember, when you're going to do a choke slam, that person's got to work with you and jump up with you. Both of them did, but he lifted them up a little bit more than what they did and slammed their asses down. So it shows he's got a good amount of power. Not incredible amounts, but good amount of power. He looked good. But the question was, could he be good without two or one guy by his side? Because the way they're doing this is to make sure they protect him. He's still green, guys. No matter how much you want to say he's ready for the main roster, he's not. He's still green, but he's good enough right now to work off of what he's gotten. Here in Stand Deliver, he's here when he first started. He was here by Stand Deliver, which is just at the edge of really being a mid-carder to a good mid-carder. He's at the mid-card to good mid-card. Now he's got to work on trying to become a main eventer. That is the deal. He's either a mid-carder or above mid-carder, not counting on his strength, just on what you see generally, how he talks, how he presents himself, how his character is developed. It's still green. So he's here. His strength got him here. Now he's got to go beyond that. Of course he won. I wasn't too surprised. But if he wasn't going to win, the only person that made the best sense would have been Dijak. That's just me. Next. 6-woman tag that should have been a singles match. Now, if you look at night 1, when it came to Damage Control versus Naomi versus Bianca versus Jade, is it a better match than them? No. All of the women in the match could wrestle. Look, we had Dane, we had JC James, and we had Kiana James. And then we had Kiana Jordan, and I got something to talk about. Oh, wait. Hold it. Crank back. Forget about what I'm talking about with the 6-woman tag. I did not say what was going on with Ava. Sorry. My apologies. Ava just announced. And I got to say this before the 6-woman tag. Ava just announced that they're going to have a new title. A Women's North American Championship. Thank you. Finally, we don't need another top tier title that doesn't always mean something because you got so many women, you can't really give them anything to do. So, what do we got? We now have the Raw title, SmackDown title, NXT title, and the first mid-card for the women, which is North American Championship. Finally, a mid-card title for the women, which they've been needing for decades. They've been needing a mid-card title for decades to give the women that will eventually reach the main title something to do because they always had to use the brands as a mid-card title because they had to do NXT as a lower card, then SmackDown as the mid-card, and then Raw as the main card. Now you don't need to do that with NXT. You now have the main title, and now you got a mid-card title. Finally, something they've been needing for so long. We got it. Let's move on to the 6-woman tag. And it wasn't very good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. But let me make this clear. This should have been about JC James and Thea Hale. As simple as that, because by the end of that match, when they were finally in the ring, everyone wanted to see them. Now, it did get cool a little bit. But as it built up, it worked. And Izzy Dame was the one who basically had to tap out to Thea. But I'm going to tell you this, particularly about all the women there. JC James is polished enough she could go to the main roster. Izzy Dame, no, she ain't ready. Thea Hale, she's almost ready. Fallon Henley, and I got something to say about her in a minute, she's ready to go to the main roster herself. And then finally, Kiana Jordan. She is not ready. If you watch the match, and I do believe I got a shot of it, you see her about to springboard off one of the ropes in a handstand. When she springboarded back, she didn't even do anything. She springboarded off, landed on her feet, and then started running. She didn't even do anything. That springboard led nowhere. It led nowhere. It was just a waste of energy. As I've told you guys, you need to crank back them gymnastics and work more on the fundamentals of pro wrestling. Kiana Jordan is gymnastics, wrestling. She needs to crank that bitch back because that was just stupid. It wasn't just the timing was off. Her judging of what she needed to do was off because she saw her opponent to go. And I do believe that was Izzy Dane. She went off that one. She didn't judge it correctly. Definitely, she knew that she didn't even run fast enough or far enough. And that's when she tried to springboard and look stupid. It just was bad. But we're still going to have the story between Thea and JC. Sorry, not Jane. They should have just done it here. I'm just saying. Moving on. Okay. Next match. Number 5. What did I feel? No, number 4. And number 5. Because I'm thinking about Dragunov and the Don at the same time I'm thinking about Lara and let me give it to you like this. When you look at the women's championship match, was it better than Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch? Yeah. Yes. This match was superior to that match. Hands down, 100%. But you got to understand, when it came to Becky Lynch, she had strep throat with 102-degree fever. She gave her best, but you could tell. She should have been here. She was here. There's no lie about this. This match, who came out first, was way better. Flat out. There's no lying it. That match was just flat out better. And that was night 2. Let's make it clear. That was night 2. But you can see, if you look at night 1, anything on night 1 when it came to the women was nothing compared to this match. It blew it out of the water, flat out. And for night 2, the same thing. Flat out. Was it night 1 or night 2? Sorry, night 1. Sorry, my mistake. Night 1. But let's make this clear. I'm not taking anything away from Rhea and Becky, but when it came to Roxanne and Lara, it was damn good. It just was damn good. I almost forgot something about Thea Hale. You'll see her in my face. She got a jiggly ass. When she was doing the Ultimate Warrior, that ass of hers, if you didn't notice, was going... She was in my face. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you know what I mean. But this match was the best women's match across all 3 of the PLEs. It just was. It was the best women's match. Flat out. And taking nothing away from Bayley and Io Shirai. I know you're going to say, are you serious? You're saying this was better? It was more technical. If you're going by match build, not story, it's more technical. If you're going to be honest about the story, Roxanne Perez, it's a good story, but it's not better than Bayley. It just wasn't better than Bayley. And when it comes to Rhea and Becky, it was better than theirs. Even though this was, several years in the making, this one was better because of what happened with Roxanne last year, passing out and losing the title. This one was better. Better than Becky and Rhea, but not better than, pretty much Bayley and Io. It just wasn't. Somewhere in between, which is fine. In the end, we did see Roxanne win. She did win, and she focused heavily on... No, it was her left elbow that she already damaged a couple of weeks before. She focused on that, and that was the entire match right there. Focusing on her left elbow, which made it impossible for her to win. And Paxley showing up. Tatum just screwed up a lot of the match for Lyra. And after the match was over, Lyra was pretty damn pissed off. So, I'm cool with it. Now we're going to have something between Lyra and Paxley. We don't know who is the next challenger that's going to be for... Possibly it's going to be Lyra again, but then who's after that? I don't know. The person, what is his name? Evans? Don't know who he is. And I know someone's going to ask, what are you thinking about this Evans guy? Because they showed him, he's in my face. I ain't going to say anything because I don't know. Just because he's a high flyer means shit. Anyone who says look on eBay, internet for him. I'm not doing it. Guys, if you do not understand the situation when it comes to people who are coming in who are high flyers, means shit. Do not tell me that I gotta watch YouTube or some internet site to see him work. It's bullshit. Understand something. His past work means nothing. His character means nothing. Everything before that means nothing because the moment he's in a promotion, other than what he did as an independent, it's what's gonna matter. Everything beforehand is bullshit. Not saying that he didn't work his ass off to get to NXT, but you must understand it doesn't mean anything. Remember, what makes a wrestler when that person, male or female, goes into that promotion, it's not the body to work before. That can bring in the older fans for that person and new fans for the promotion. But what will really make the person will be the new promotion. Remember, more than a few times we had people that went into WWE who had the hugest following and it all died. Why? Because they booked them into oblivion. Now, of course, this is not this at this moment, but you understand what I'm saying. This new promotion, NXT, must now make me care about him. I don't give a fuck about what he did before. I want to know what he'll do now. Now, second to last match of the night. World Heavyweight Championship. You would think they would put this last, but they can't. Because of Trick and Melo. Ilya Dragunov versus the Don. Guys, I'm going to tell you this. This was a very well-developed story. You may not like Ilya Dragunov. I understand. He's not something everyone's interested in. He doesn't talk as well as most. He's not a big enough guy that makes him feel like this. But he is physical enough and his character is eccentric enough. Let's make this clear. The guy is originally born in Russia and moved to Germany when he was a little kid. We know that Russians can be quite very, very hardy. I remember when I was younger, was it a show or a movie? No, a behind the scenes where they showed a former Russian soldier who was helping in a movie said, I know how to be able to handle anything. Hit me in the stomach. And he gets hit and goes, ugh. Is that all you got? They said, do it again. Ugh. And that was the behind the scenes of some movie. I don't remember what it was. Or was it Deadliest Warrior? I can't remember. One of the two. But Russian soldiers and regular Russian people can be very hardy. And when you look at Dragunov, you know that when he's in that ring, he is very physical. At the end of that match, he was bleeding from the damn mouth, as he normally does. He's bleeding from somewhere. Ilya's right fingers, I think these two. These two. What was it? Okay, these two were broken, supposedly, or damaged by Stacks. And that was the premise of most of his injury, like Lyra Valkyria and her left elbow. That's what the Don focused on. He wanted to really show that he was that damn dominant. Now, Stacks tried to help the Don by giving him brass knucks, but Stacks was told no twice. Twice he was stopped by the Don. The first one, when the Don handed him back the brass knucks, saying, no, I'm not going to do it like that. I want to prove I am the best. And then when Stacks was taunted by Ilya Dragunov, and he stands up on the ring skirt, and the Don says, no, step down. He's literally telling Stacks, no, don't do nothing, step down. Let me do this. This is mine. This is what I gotta do. Yes, the Don lost. And he shook the hand of Ilya. But he proved 100%. Let me say this. One of the few people I really like when it comes character-wise, not just from the work in the ring, but character-wise, in NXT is pretty much Tony D'Angelo. The guy, the legitimate guy, worked very well to make and craft that character to what he is today. I am very impressed with him, and I do believe when he moves to the main roster, if they book him right, he will be a very good star. He will. He'll be a good wrestler for them. Counting if they'll continually book him correctly. That's the biggest question. And now here's another question. What do you think Stacks is going to do now that the Don basically refused to take the Nux? Will he stay in line? Or will he say the Don was stupid? He should have just knocked his teeth down his throat. If the Don's supposed to do whatever it takes to get it done, why didn't he do it? That was stupid. He should have took the damn Nux and knocked his teeth down his throat and win the damn title like he's supposed to. That's going to be the question. Will Stacks eventually turn on the Don because the Don has gotten soft? Because he's acting too honorable? Because they grew up doing whatever they need to do, not just survive, to thrive, and become profitable. If the Don does not keep that status up, the underboss may want to be the boss. That's what I'm thinking, counting if they're going to go there. Final match. Tricky versus Mello. Let me tell you this. This was the match I was waiting for. This was the match I was curious about. Will they book this thing correctly? Trick won. I was right. If anybody remembered almost 2 years ago when Trick and Mello were working together, I believe around maybe a year and a half into them working together, the way Mello was working with Trick, I believe I said this easily, that Trick, Mello, eventually going to break up. Mello's ready for the main roster. You could tell he's ready, but he's still with Trick. Trick had to go off on his own. I even said this in one of my reviews of NXT. They need to break Trick away from Mello to eventually start working on himself, because Mello is going to leave, and eventually Trick needs to have Mello help him to get him over. That's what I felt was going to be needed. I felt that Trick Williams was a great talker. I didn't see him much in the ring, but I did feel that he was a great talker and he could be something. But he needed to break away from Carmelo Hayes. It had to happen. I felt it had to happen. He had to start building himself. And I did believe that he could build himself into something. He just needed to show us. What had happened? What's happened? Whoop That Trick has now become super popular. They're now doing it on the main roster. Hell, it was in WrestleMania where you see people getting, what Akam and Razor was beating people down with those kendo sticks. They're saying whoop that trick. That is not something that just happens forcefully. It's organic. It came from Trick Williams. I wasn't just right about Trick, that he had to finally break away from Hayes and he had to start working on himself, because I do believe Hayes was going to put him over. Look where we're at right now. We got this match that was the closing of the show, and yes, I have to say this myself. Being half black, I am proud of my heritage on both sides. Even if I don't follow the Puerto Rican side because I didn't grow up with it, it doesn't mean I at least don't recognize that on both sides of my blood, I know there have been great people who have done great things. And seeing something for the first time is very cliche in wrestling. I don't always like it, but I can understand why it's there. This is the first time in this promotion's history that you had two black men do a pay-per-view. Do a pay-per-view. Other than Booker T and Rock, and he's half Samoan, these two are pure black Americans. Pure black, whatever mixed white they got in them, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. We all have a little bit of white in us who is a mixed black. If you're light-skinned a little bit, that means you got a little white in you. I know I got white in my ass. I know it. I'm sure Trick and Mello got a little white in the ass, but you know what I mean. So seeing it, I understand it. Was it a good match? Yes, you could see Trick basically being outperformed by Mello because Mello is a superior wrestler. Trick is more of I do agree when it comes to Booker T and Vic. He is a hybrid. He's a brawler almost to a certain extent, or just a brawler with to a good extent, some wrestling, but he's mostly a fighter with some brawling and a little bit of wrestling mixed in. That's what he is. He's like a mixed martial artist, where Melo is more like a boxer or a martial arts fighter. He's more of a pure. And that's what we got during the match. Melo going with his feet in Trick's face, smacking behind the head, saying, who the hell you think you are? Who the fuck you think you are? You ain't nothing to me. And that's how the premise was. Basically, Trick being basically punked out by Melo because he's superior as a pro wrestler. But then as time went on, Trick managed to get over on Melo. Eventually, not only once did the ref get nailed, he got nailed twice by Trick and Melo. That's not something that has been done before. It is a trope at this point that sooner or later, someone's going to nail a ref. And that's going to happen. In this case, it was done twice. And Trick did get a nut shot. And you did see a chair get used. But as it stands, it was just one straight clean ass match. Other than when they went into the fans. And Vic made it clear that Ava gave orders that let this match go anyway. We need a winner. A little leeway, if you will, to the ref. So we did that. And in the end, we got this win. Trick won. I was right. I knew there was something there with him. He just had to show it. Now, what's going to happen now? It's not over yet. Unless they are going to move Melo up to the main roster, it's not over yet. Melo's going to go crazy to try and get him back. What would be the best thing? This is just me. What would be the best thing that would be great for Trick and would be a send-off for Melo is that Melo wins maybe the North American Championship or wins the World Championship again. Either one. And Trick goes against him to try and get that damn title. And he wins it. That would be the best option for Melo to put over Trick. That he eventually becomes a champion because he beat Melo when Melo managed to get the title back. Either one. Either North American or the World. One of the two. But it's just me. I hope you guys enjoy this. I will be editing this and then I'll start watching Raw. At this point, Raw has already been on for maybe 10 minutes. At this point, it's past 8. So I'm going to have to see a replay of what happened in the beginning probably with Cody and what they're going to do with that. I will say, as I said in my review, it was a good pay-per-view, better than Night 1. And I will tell you, Stand Deliver was better than Night 1, at least up until The Rock, Roman, Cody, and Seth were in that last match. Everything else wasn't as great as this show. Peace.